بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين أما بعد قال المؤلف رحمه الله تعالى ورضي عنه الكبير الرابعة والستون الشرب في الذهب والفضة. The author Al-Hafidh Al-Dhahabi rahimahullah, he says major sin number 64, الشرب في الذهب والفضة. He says is to drink in gold and silver, literal translation, or to drink from gold and to drink from silver. He says that is a major sin to drink something from a cup, a bowl, a vessel that is made of gold and or silver. The author, he doesn't say al-aklu wa shurb, eating and drinking, but he says ash-shurb, drinking from dhahab, gold, and from silver. He says that this is a major sin. Now, obviously, as we normally do, we try to mention some of the furu'at, some of the things that go as a product from this unwan. What pertains to this? To drink from gold and silver, does that mean that you can eat from it? You can eat on a silver platter? You can eat on a gold platter? Or is it just haram to drink from a gold or silver gauntlet, or a cup, or a bowl? Obviously, that's not what he means, just to drink therefrom. But he just mentioned shurb for one reason or another. Secondly is, what is the ruling on eating and drinking, or especially eating with gold and silver utensils, and not necessarily eating from the plate, like sterling silver spoons, which is very common, very popular in Western culture. A sterling silver spoon or fork or knife. The plate is china. The plate isn't gold. The plate isn't silver. The bowl isn't gold, isn't silver, but the spoon is sterling silver. Is that permissible? Is that included in this, or is that an exception? Another concept is that which is plated. Gold plated spoons. Silver plated spoons or forks. Or is the only thing which is haram is solid gold and solid silver. Or with regards to a tea glass, you may have a small tea glass that's made from, we said glass, or it's actually china, but it has a thin line around it, or a delicate handle, or it's gilded with gold. Is that also haram? Is that included in this? Or is it just to eat and to drink from something that is a solid piece of precious metal, of gold and of silver? These are all things that pertain to this issue. So he says, first and foremost, as a starting point for a student of knowledge, for a scholar, and for a layman, is to just be aware of the issue. Is that it is haram to eat and to drink from gold and from silver, as a starting point. He says here, قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم لا تلبسوا الحرير ولا الديباج ولا تشربوا في آنية الذهب والفضة ولا تأكلوا في سحافها فإنها لهم في الدنيا وَلَكُمْ فِي الْآخِرَةِ مُتَّفَقٌ عَلَيْهِ. Hadith number 388. He says that the Prophet ﷺ tells us, do not wear harir nor dibaj. And harir and dibaj is basically types of silk. Thin silk, thick silk, silk brocade, wearing a silk on your shoulders, a hat, a vest. Do not wear silk. As we have previously explained, this is only for men. It's haram for a Muslim man to wear pure silk. A Muslim woman is excluded from this ruling. That's not mentioned in this hadith, but we know that's the actual ruling, fil waqi', based off of other nusus, other texts, other hadiths. This hadith is general. Don't wear silk, it's telling us. And it means do not wear silk if you're a grown Muslim man. The hadith then says, وَلَا تَشْرَبُوا, nor drink from gold and silver. Do not drink from gold and from silver. Why not, you may ask? The Prophet ﷺ says, do not drink from gold and silver. The hadith then says, وَلَا تَأْكُلُوا فِي سِحَافِهَا, nor eat from a gold or silver platter. Why not? فَإِنَّهَا لَهُمْ فِي الدُّنْيَا, because these gold platters, these silver platters, these gold utensils, gold and silver gauntlets, lahum, therefore the kuffar, they're from the mushrikeen, or unfortunately they may be for the fasaqa, from the Muslims, the sinful Muslims, the Muslims that have been spoiled by luxury, The Muslims that have been poisoned and tainted by these worldly things and being a spendthrift and being extravagant and showing off for people. They are for them in this life, وَلَكُمْ فِي الْآخِرَةِ, but in hereafter they are for you. They are for you. And the hadith the author says is agreed upon, and we notice the well-known narration of Hudayfa radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. So the highlighting point from the hadith says, do not drink, do not eat from gold and silver, because they are for them in this life, and they are for you in the hereafter. The hadith proves that it is haram, whereas the Prophet said, la, do not. And one may say that which is a proof that it is from the major sins is that the Prophet is speaking about the hereafter. He's speaking about the afterlife. That if you drink from these things, if you eat from these things now, as if you're rushing, as if you're hasty. You're rushing, you're hasty. You're going too fast, too far, too fast for that which is tayyib, that which is fine, that which is elegant. There's nothing wrong with elegant things. There's nothing wrong with nice things, but not yet. That's going to come later on. The dunya is not supposed to be like this. Khairan, inshallah. The next narration, the author says, وَقَالَ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ إِنَّ الَّذِي يَأْكُلُ أَوْ يَشْرَبُ فِي إِنَاءِ الذَّهَبِ وَالْفِضَّةِ إِنَّمَا يُجَرْجِرُ فِي بَطْنِهِ نَارَ جَهَنَّمَ. The Prophet ﷺ, he also said, he who drinks from a silver vessel or a golden vessel is only gulping down and swallowing down the fire of hell into his belly. Is only putting the fire of hell into his belly. وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ. And we know this hadith is collected by Imam Muslim from the narration of Salama radiyallahu ta'ala anha. This hadith clearly proves that it is from the Kaba'ir, it's from the major sins. Whereas the Messenger of Allah ﷺ, he didn't say anger, ghadab, la'an, but he mentioned nar, fire. And anytime something is attached and joined with fire and with punishment, it proves what? That it's from the Kaba'ir. Because the Prophet ﷺ says as if you're only putting the fire of hell in your own belly. In other words, you drinking from gold and silver is a reason behind being punished in hell. It's a reason behind being punished in the fire of hell. وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ. So this hadith is clear and lucid that it's haram to do this, and it is from the reasons that you will go to the fire of hell. وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ. The last hadith he says, وَقَالَ مَنْ شَرِبَ فِي الْفِضَّةِ لَمْ يَشْرَبْ فِيهَا فِي الْآخِرَةِ أَخْرَجَهُمَا مُسْلِمٌ. The Prophet also said, anyone who drinks from a silver vessel will not drink therefrom in the hereafter. And that hadith is also collected by Imam Muslim as well, narrated by Al-Bara ibn Azib radiyallahu ta'ala anhum. So back to the first narration, the narration of Hudayfa. The Prophet ﷺ, he tells us gold and silver. He tells us that silk clothes are for them in this life and for us in the hereafter. They're for them now and they're for you later on. This hadith teaches us is that having gold or golden vessels and silver vessels is something that the Muslim should stay away from. But how should the Muslim stay away from this? Only eating and drinking, or any type of vessel or bowl that is made from gold and made from silver? Some say, looking at the wisdom of the hadith, it's general. It's general. In other words, you have a mantlet. You have a mantle, for example. You have a clock, you have a vase, and then you have a bowl that's made out of gold or made out of silver. You have something in which you keep things, jewelry, anything important, anything of value. You got one, you went to another country, you went somewhere to some type of festival, some type of museum or something, and you brought back, a gold bowl or a silver little, something to put your ink pens in or your pocket knives in or something like this, your wristwatch, your car keys. Is it haram to have this? Or is it only haram to eat and drink therefrom and therein? Some of the people of knowledge, they say that it's haram to use gold and silver for any type of usage. Any type of usage, with exceptions to a silver ring for a man, with exceptions to gold and silver for a woman's jewelry, with exceptions to the hilt of a sword, with exceptions to things like this. But to have a vessel, a bowl, a plate, a platter, a tray, a vase, a vase that's gold and of silver, they say it's unlawful and it's impermissible to have. Because the Prophet ﷺ, he clearly mentioned the reason and the wisdom behind this. They're for them in this life and for you in hereafter. Luxury and extravagance. And other ulama, they say no, bal. They say rather, what's impermissible, what's unlawful, what you cannot do is eat and you cannot drink. Because of the clear text. La tashrabu wa la ta'kulu. He says don't eat and don't drink. So the scholars of Islam, they differ on the ruling of using gold and silver vessels for other than eating and drinking. Eating and drinking is clear. There's no doubt about that. That's clear. That's textual information that you cannot do it. The hadith also teaches something far deeper than this. And that is the Muslim is to avoid to be extreme. He's to stay away from too much pamper, too much luxury, too much extravagance. Having things that are too soft, too fine, all of the time, every time, is something that does not mix with the Muslim and the mu'min. Sometimes you can't make it haram to have nice things. You can't make it haram to have finery every now and then, to look handsome, to look beautiful, labas. But every single day, every single time, you become upset. If anything falls and spills and breaks and cracks and gets dusty or rusty, something's wrong. You show off, you boast and you brag. And you don't pay the zakat, you don't give the sadaqah. You could have invested that wealth in something that was 10 times more beneficial for yourself, for the Muslims, for Islams, for the poor non-Muslims that are starving and dying all across the globe. So the concept of just having too much luxury, too much wealth, too much fine things is generally like water and oil. It doesn't mix with Iman. And whenever Allah Azza wa Jalla talks about the people of Mecca, the mushrikeen, the pagans, the Prophet's family members, his tribesmen, his clan, and how they rejected the ayat. They did not believe, they did not accept. Allah mentions that they what? Mutrafin. They were in luxury, they lived in luxury. Allah talks about Ad and Thamud in the previous nations, and He talks about their wealth and how they looked at their wealth as a means of honor. Allah can't want us to follow you and to obey you. You're poor, you're weak. The poor people are following you. We have wealth, we have power, we have status. We have to be right. Did Allah make Muhammad a messenger and make these people to follow him? And we are the nobles? So the concept of luxury, too much wealth, too much comfort, there lies no doubt it has a spiritual effect, a mental effect, and a physical effect upon a person. It does not mean that it's haram to have something that is nice. La bas. It does not mean it's haram to have something that looks good. It does not mean it's haram to buy yourself a piece of jewelry. But there is a limit and there is a level. There's a limit and there's a level. And if you don't believe this, then look at the books of history. And not just for the Muslims, but look at all of the different nations and the dynasties. And when the leaders, when they became extravagant and luxurious, when the warriors and the generals, the people who upheld the state, when they became too far from warfare, they became set back, relaxed. They began to eat and to drink and to sit back and to forget their original purpose. Their dynasties fell. Their dynasties crumbled. They were taken over because that's not the nature of a warrior. That's not the nature of a wise leader to have too much, to have hordes and hordes and hordes of gold and silver while the people are starving. Now we all know what happened in history with regards to the Mongols and the Tatars and how they conquered so much land in such a short period of time. And from the lands that they conquered, from the lands that they ravaged, were the lands of the Muslims. Whether it was in Persia, whether it was in Iraq, whether it was other countries. And there's one well-known story that when the Mongols, when they entered Baghdad, we all know what they did and how many people they killed and the souls that they slayed and the blood was pouring on the streets and how many books they burnt and threw into the river and destroyed, how many women were raped, how many babies were slain. And some of them, they said that the streets of Baghdad were slippery with human fat. That's how many people were killed and burned. That's how many people were massacred. So obviously anyone who reads this book and says, astaghfirullah, a'udhu billah, look at these evil people, these Mongol people, these Tartar people. They were savages, they were barbarians, they killed all of the Muslims, they slaughtered all of these innocent people, which is true to an extent. But what was the cause of those people entering Baghdad and killing the Muslims and raping those people and burning those books? There was a reason why. There was a major mistake that were made by many of the leaders of the Muslims. Not to go too deep into that, what's important is, they say that one of the generals, he found one of the leaders of the Muslims, the leader of Baghdad. He tried to escape, he tried to get away, and they actually caught him. So obviously, said, bring him here, bring him the leader. And if you read history, you know that the people who fought anybody, let alone the Mongols, they used psychological warfare. And it was much more than just fighting on the battlefield, but they wanted to actually defeat the enemy mentally and improve a message and to send a message for the other nations and countries. So they said, bring the leader here. So the narration says that they took the leader and they rolled him up in a carpet. Just imagine this now. This king, this leader, whatever he's called, Allahu Alam, in most cases, he probably was wearing fine silk every day. Gold, silver rings, jewelry, concubines, wives, people serving him, people washing his feet. He doesn't do anything. People probably feeding him. How much comfort and how much luxury he lived in. And they humiliated him, strip him of his clothes and put him in a carpet and roll him up. Just picture what's going through his mind right now. So they said they rolled him up in a carpet and they literally brought him to the general of the Mongols, who were victorious in battle, unfortunately, against the Muslims. And they rolled him in front of him. So he's laughing at him and he's looking at him and he's saying, "Oh, Fulan, oh, such and such. What happened to your country? How do we win? How do we beat you?" So on and so forth. So the king is in a pitiful state right now. He's in a horrible state. So he says, "Give me some money. I want some gold. I want some silver right now. My soldiers have fought hard. We just don't want to kill and plunder and pillage. We want actual riches of the Muslims." So he told the soldiers where the money is. So they brought him some chests. So some chests of gold and silver, jewels. The Mongol leader said, "No, I don't want this money." He says, "I told you I want some wealth, some real money." He says, "That's all the money that I have." Perhaps he began to beat him and stomp him and kick him and spit on him. He said, all right, I'll give you some more. Go here, go there. And they brought him some more wealth. So the mushrik man from the Mongols, he says, "Didn't I tell you I want gold and silver? I do not want this petty trifle that you're trying to bring to me and appease me. You're lying to me. Where is the real money?" So they beat him and they stomped him and they humiliated him even more. And he says, okay, I'll give you my personal stash of money. And he took him to the personal stash of money that was, Allahu Alam, millions and millions back in those times of dollars worth of gold, silver, diamonds, rubies, and the list goes on. So he says, "What were you doing with all of this money? What were you doing with all of this wealth? How many poor people in your country? How many Muslims lived? What was the purpose of you storing this wealth and you can't do anything with it? You can't eat it. You can't live off of it. You just hoarded all of that money." And he humiliated him. Allahu Alam, what happened after that? Was he killed? Was he raped? We don't know. Allahu Alam. The moral of the story is that excessive wealth, excessive luxury, and becoming a slave of money is going to destroy you. And it's going to destroy those who are around you. But allowing money to be your slave and allowing wealth to work for you and to spend that wealth and to use that wealth and to be grateful and thankful, then that is a tremendous blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As the Prophet ﷺ said, "Ni'mal malu salih lil abd salih aw lil rajul salih." He says good wealth is a major benefit for a righteous man. To have money, to have these things and to use them, to utilize them, that's a blessing. So Islam does not promote you to be poor. It does not promote you to be raggedy and to be dirty and not to have things. But Islam is against you being too luxurious, you being too extravagant, and a man who's supposed to be a little rough, a little tough, a little gritty, for a man to be too soft, too fine, and he can't deal with any type of hardship. As Umar radiallahu anhu was quoted to have said, "Ikhshaw shinu fa inna ni'ma la tadum." It's narrated that Umar radiallahu anhu said, he said, "Be rough and be tough, because the bounties and the blessings of Allah will not remain forever." It's nothing wrong with having a nice, good car, but have the ability to walk. It's nothing wrong with having nice house. Labas. But you go camping, you complain, you cry, "I'm cold, I'm hot, the mosquitoes, I can't lay on the floor. I can't deal with this." And wallahi, we've seen this on Hajj. We've seen this on Hajj. I personally have seen this on Hajj. A doctor from America, Allah, making thousands and thousands of dollars every year. He's put into a tent. The bathroom is not like what was on the flyer and the poster. The food is stale, it's dry, it's cold, it's this and it's that. And wallahi, he got up and he complained and hollered and screamed and fought. He almost blew his entire Hajj for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days of roughing it out and toughing it out. Then you go back to your big luxurious palace and mansion back in America. He obviously didn't hear this athar of Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu. So it's nothing wrong with money. It's nothing wrong with wealth. It's nothing wrong with comfort as long as you do not allow it to control you and take you over. But you realize that it's something that's temporary, and the true luxury, the true wealth, the true bidinai ta'ala comfort and comfortable living is in the hereafter and not in this dunya. Khairan, inshallah. We go on and on and on with regards to that topic. That's very, very important. Last but not least, the last hadith, the last narration of Bara radiallahu anhu says, anyone who drinks from silver in this life will not drink it in the hereafter. That also proves that it's a major sin. And it's not a small minor sin, but it's a major sin. Now when a hadith says he won't drink it in the hereafter, does that mean he's a kafir? Abu Bakr? Does that mean he's not a Muslim anymore? He's a Muslim. So what does the hadith mean then? He won't drink in the hereafter.
He won't drink in the hereafter. Maybe he's going to be, that ni'mah, that reward is not going to be given.
That blessing will not be given to him. But other people will drink from silver and gold in Jannah?
No.
Obviously, if the Prophet says that, then there has to be a reason why. Whoever does this won't get it later on. Meaning that other people will what?
Won't get it.
Get it later on. Tight. Is there sadness in Jannah?
There's sadness in Jannah, and there are levels in Jannah.
Or is there sadness in Jannah? The question says.
I mean, I guess a person,
Yes or no? Is there sadness in paradise? You have to think about it. Allahu Akbar.
there is no sadness.
There's no sadness without any doubt. Is there jealousy and malice or envy in Jannah? No. And at the same time, there are also what? No doubt about that. So therefore, there are levels, but there's no jealousy, there's no envy. Sahih? So if the Prophet says if he does it in this life, he won't do it what? And thereafter. That clearly means that that's a punishment. And that other people will enjoy it. So we have a deduction now, an equation. 1 + 1 + 1 = 3. Number one, if he doesn't have it in hereafter, that means what? Other people have it in hereafter. Has to be a meaning to the hadith. Number two, if there's no jealousy in paradise, if there's no envy in paradise, if there's no sadness in paradise, if he's not drinking alcohol, the wine, if he's not drinking out of the gold and silver and wearing the silk, and they are, that proves what? Sadness. Imagine you being invited to a party, and everybody in that party can drink except for what? You. What's going to happen? How are you going to feel?
You feel sad.
No doubt. You're going to feel some type of way. Why am I the only one that can't have a drink? It can be fruit punch. It doesn't have to be alcohol. Anything. You can't have any fruit punch. Punch. You know, back in the day, you scoop the punch to a cup. So who spiked the punch, they say, right? So everybody's drinking, enjoying themselves, and you're sitting in the corner. You can't what? You can't have any, but you're at the party. That's going to cause you what? Sadness, jealousy, envy. You're going to become upset. You're going to become angry. So if there's no sadness, no jealousy, no evil in Jannah, and you're not going to get this in Jannah, there has to be something else. There has to mean something else now. Where do people go in hereafter? Jannah or Jahannam. There's no third place, correct? Sahih? Ashab al-Araf. They're eventually going to what? Go somewhere. They're going to go somewhere eventually. The Messiah has to be paradise or hell. One of the two. Tayyib. So does this mean that he's not going to go to Jannah? He's going to go to Jahannam? That he's not a Muslim? Only the believers will enter paradise? Here you have a number system, Abu Bakr. You have a number here, you have a number there. You have to put the numbers together to equal something. فهمت الإشكال؟ من شرب الخمر ثم لم يتوب منها لم يشرب في الآخرة كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. Can't do both. You drink alcohol now, you won't drink it what? In hereafter. And Allah clearly tells us in Jannah there's what? There's wine. لذة للشاربين. Allah says delicious wine that people will enjoy. That won't cause drunkenness, won't cause a headache, won't cause foul talk, ta'thim, no luggle, no idle talk, no cursing, no swearing. So if you're not going to drink paradise in the hereafter, that means something. What does that mean? Or the last option is that the hadith has no meaning at all. لا معنى له. كلام يقال. It's just talk. طبعا. Of course, you're not going to say that. The hadith has to have a what? A meaning. You have to ذلك أن توجه تجمع. You have to harmonize between these texts. And if not, you either want to reject it, or you're going to say that hadith is true, it's authentic, but it has no what? It doesn't mean anything. Drink as much as you want and you'll get it in hereafter as well. So it has to have a meaning. خير إن شاء الله. إن شاء الله تفكر في هذا الشيء بإذن الله تعالى. Allah Azza wa Jalla surely knows best. We ask Him to protect us from having these types of luxurious vessels, cups and bowls. Wallahu ta'ala alam.